Welcome to the Brand Lincoln Podcast, the show where we dig into the stories behind Lincoln's most inspiring business owners and influential people. It's where big ideas and even bigger personalities collide. Proudly sponsored by Perch Merch, your one-stop shop for screen printing, embroidery, and promotional products that make your brand unforgettable. Call us at 402-217-5212 or visit us at perch-merch.com to give your business the glow-up it deserves. And don't just listen, be a true multitasker. Like, follow, and subscribe on whatever platform you're tuning in on. And check us out on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Brand Lincoln Podcast. We're basically everywhere you waste your time. Let's get inspired, Lincoln. The stories start now. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Brand Lincoln. I'm your host, Chris Beecham, joined by my two co-hosts, Henry Schmidt.
Dynamic
I've
duo.
never said it. This is only like the 47th time I've said it.
It's very uncommon for people to mispronounce my name. It's not that difficult.
Got it. And then Joe Cruz.
Nice, you got it.
Who's also a DJ, an American role model. Mm-hmm. He does a lot of different things.
And a Young Gravy concert goer.
Yes. He was on another podcast last week, Dan Parsons, where again, he failed to mention that he works at Perch Merch or that he has a podcast, Brand Lincoln, because he does not talk about anything
I
that
mentioned
we
all.
do
I mentioned all of that.
He probably wore a Kincaid.
I'm a graphic artist.
They must have cut it. They must have cut it out.
I'm like, for the love of God, this guy just does not. He's also Casey's guy.
I don't think I mentioned that either.
Yeah, you did. You talked a lot about it.
Well, they didn't cut it. They cut out Perch Merch.
This is the longest.
Did they? I'll talk to Dan.
I'll talk to Dan.
Yeah, I'm calling Dan Parsons out right now.
Tony's just ready to go. Like, what the hell?
Anyway, so today in the Perch Merch studio, we have Toni Rupe of Junior Achievement.
Yes.
You are the CEO of Junior Achievement, Lincoln, Nebraska. What is that?
Yeah, so we cover everything in Nebraska except for Omaha. So there is a JA of the Midlands that operates in the Omaha market, but we have the rest of Nebraska.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so I grew up about Junior Achievement, but I was never in it, so I really don't know.
Okay.
I know it's a business thing.
I was in 8th grade and someone came to our school.
Yeah.
And it was Junior Achievement.
Yeah.
And did what?
And they kind of let it
make a presentation.
We all had.
How about we let our guest?
Joe always explains what the guest does before.
Tony, tell us what Junior Achievement.
Yeah, so we do financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and then work and career readiness. And so
all right, she said it better than I would have.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Yes. And so instead of only focusing on a certain age range, we do all the way from kindergarten to age 25. And so in kindergarten, it's really simple. It's based on like just making smart financial choices. So learning needs versus wants and just really starting to understand, like, I might just be in kindergarten, but my mom and dad might have this job and this job contributes to XYZ. And this, like, so they start to understand kind of how the world around them works, because until we go to kindergarten, we kind of think our family is
oh my gosh, put my kids in that right now, because they think they can get something every time they go to the store.
Right. So helping them understand, like, hey, somebody has to pay for that. And if you spend all of mom and dad's money, then what? Now we just have a house full of toys and we don't have food, and, we might not be able to have electricity because all we're doing is spending our money on things that we don't actually need.
What is the history of Junior Achievement? Like, when did it start? How did this even happen?
So our chapter has been here for 55 years, but JA is part of a global organization. So we have JA Worldwide. JA USA is then a part of that. And then we are a chapter of JA USA. So it's kind of like a federated structure. Not people think it's kind of like a franchisee, but it's more of just a federated structure. And they just give us access to all of the curriculum. We work with them on making sure that it meets all of the state standards. So when we partner with school districts to come in, it's not just an addition to their day, but it's something that's checking off the needs of what we need to teach our kids every day. So one of the things people always ask me is like, is financial literacy in the state curriculum? It is now. Only in the past 2 to 3 years it has been in the curriculum as a state standard. So, as we have kids graduating, they haven't had that. They have, a lot of Lincoln Public Schools kids have had that because we've had a strong partnership with Lincoln Public Schools. But when you get into rural Nebraska, they don't have these opportunities. They don't have business people that come into the classroom and teach them, like, here are all the fails that I made to get to where I am. And so while you might say you want to be me, just know that the path was not always easy. And I think as we see the rise of like influencers and YouTube stars and all of these things that are right in front of our kids' faces, they think it's so easy to obtain. And then the first time they get like a no or they kind of flop, they're like, I give up, I'm done. And so we're really there to help them realize, like, it's going to be some trial and tribulation to get you to where you want to be. But if you always have your North Star of the lifestyle that you want to live and what it takes to get there, then you always are working towards something bigger than just the first failure. The first failure is just a bump in the road. And, hopefully we teach them the tenacity to keep moving forward.
Great lesson for even adults too.
Yes.
Thinking about my own life, and
Joe, they cut off at 25.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Can't show up. Yeah, so you start as early as kindergarten?
Yeah.
Okay, when does this happen?
Yeah, so it happens in the school day.
Okay.
So, we partner with the curriculum guides at LPS and parochial schools and all other public schools as well, just to kind of say, okay, in the K through 5 space, we really fit into that social studies needs. So teachers just have it in their curriculum that their JA volunteer comes into the classroom, teaches the 5 lessons, and then kids are exposed to that every year. So it goes all the way up until 12th grade for them.
What's a JA volunteer?
Yeah, so we partner with local businesses and local community members that come in and they teach the lessons. So we have the curriculum, we train the volunteers, and then they come in and teach the curriculum to the kids. The teachers are always in the classroom, so they can help kind of like manage behaviors, pronounce names, do all of those different things. But the volunteer really, sounds like you have kids of your own. As you have kids, you realize, okay, they'll listen to anybody else but me. And so that really is kind of like the differential. So like teachers are curriculum providers. They know their kids, they know how to get to them, how to manage a classroom. But really, when we bring that volunteer in that has that real world experience, they haven't been raised to be a teacher, only surrounded by teachers, day in, day out. So as these volunteers come in, the kids are like, it's somebody new to talk to me. And so their ears instantly open. They start to see themselves in these individuals. So then they start to think bigger than themselves. A lot of times, if you ask anybody K through 5, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's a lot of either what their mom and dad are, or they want to be a teacher. And so helping them realize, like, you can be the CEO of Nelnet. You just have to make that your path. And so I think it also gives companies the opportunity to come in and talk about, like, okay, here's how we got to where we are. Here's how Cornhusker Bank grew from 1 location to 1 million. And here are like all of the trials that I had to face to get us there. And so just helping people see, like, what is a job in Lincoln, Nebraska? What does that look like? And so I think it just serves so many purposes to pull the business community into our schools and have that partnership where the kids are like super invested because they've been dying to hear from somebody else, right? Like we all can remember being in school and it's like, oh, if Mrs. Smith keeps talking, I swear.
Yeah.
So I think it just gives a great break in their day to see somebody else. And then teachers are able to kind of hear what volunteers are saying about that financial literacy and entrepreneurship space. And the kids are able to start seeing different careers that they probably wouldn't have been exposed to.
So that's a lot of volunteers then,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
How many volunteers do you currently? You probably need some more.
We always need more. We always need more. So we have about 760,
okay.
which is a lot of.
What qualifies a volunteer? Just a
Could a DJ?
Yeah.
Joe do it.
Yeah.
CPBO?
Yeah. So really, I mean, we have parents. I'll use myself as an example. I teach my son's class and I intend to teach it until he tells me to get out. But
What grade's he in right now?
he's in kindergarten.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So-
you got time.
Yeah.
Years.
Yeah, 3 years. Maybe 2.
Yeah.
But I think anybody can do it. We train you to do it, but we really love people who are connected in the community and can really relate to kids and want to pass on that information. I think one of the things we think about with kids is, they might be smart as a whip, but they don't have wisdom. So if we're not passing our wisdom down to them, we're doing them a huge disservice. So anybody that has wisdom, that has lived their life and has made choices, I mean, we all have some sort of a budget, I would hope. And so things like that, being able to talk to kids about, here's how I set up my budget. Here's how I prioritize my spending. Here's how I make choices on whether I use my credit card or my debit card. Obviously, we're not talking to kindergartners about that. That's more in the 6th to 8th grade space. But people that just have life experience that want to share that wisdom and pass it down.
Do you teach them how to write checks?
We do.
Thank God. Well, I had to teach a 23-year-old kid a couple months ago how to write a check.
Yes.
And I couldn't believe
they don't teach that.
He had no idea how to
Write
write a
it,
check.
not going to balance the checkbook.
Right.
Yeah. And then the next month, he lives in one of my rentals, so he had to write me a rent check. He wrote it completely wrong.
Chris, it's hard to remember where to sign your name. Put the memo.
Exactly.
There's 2 lines at the bottom. You don't know which one's which.
He actually signed his name in the middle.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Pay to the order of yourself.
he didn't want to spell out the number.
No,
but
that's a lot of work.
I was just one of those things like, are you kidding me?
No.
Just like they also don't know cursive now, I mean, showing my age, but yeah, they don't know how to write cursive.
Yeah.
So what kind of time commitment does a volunteer have to give then?
Yeah. So it kind of varies. In the elementary space, it's about 5 lessons that are about 25 to 35 minutes a piece. You can do them once a week. You can do them back to back one every day that week. The schools and the teachers are very flexible. We kind of leave it up to everybody's schedule. So obviously, most people are professionals, have a job. It's very hard for me to do a Monday through Friday. So I just book mine once every week, go in, teach the kids. And then that way, by the time next week, they're excited to see me. They want you to be in the classroom. And then once you get into the older grades, there's a lot of either 4 lessons at about 45 minutes a piece that, again, are those we do not do them back to back every single day because kids aren't in the same classes every day. And so they go in once a week and just teach that curriculum to those kids. And then we also have a one-time 45-minute session that we do that is called JA Career Success. And so that literally is just a professional coming in and talking to the kids and saying, here's my path. Ask me whatever questions you want to know. And they're just very real and honest about, here are all the trials, tribulations. So a lot of my, I would say CEOs and, super busy people, they commit to that one time and they come in and do that. The other thing we also have is our JA Job Shadow. So if you're like, I don't want to go into a school and teach a bunch of kids, but I'm more than happy to have these kids come into my business and show them how I do business. That's also an opportunity. All of the 8th graders and 11th graders at Lincoln Public Schools have to have a job shadow experience. And so those kids, they partner with JA and we arrange for them to go to somewhere like Bulu or Bison or Timco and things like that. And then they go in and they see that there's this business in their backyard that has all positions. So we have our executive team, we have accounting and finance and IT and marketing. And then maybe you do want to be on the manufacturing floor. Maybe you want to be part of creative or welding or all sorts of different things. So they start to see that in their own backyard, I can apply at this one company and be a part of something bigger than myself in a area that doesn't have to just be like, I'm going to press this button over and over. Like if you want to work for a manufacturing firm, you don't have to be a manufacturer. There are a million different opportunities within that realm of business.
So if we brought some kids in here to job shadow, could they pump out about 100 signs?
Yeah.
Okay, we could have.
Yeah. Genius, Joe. Let's go. Put them to work. Here's what we're doing today.
This is how you work the embroidery machine.
Right.
So how does it work with the older kids? Because you said you go up to 25.
Yeah. So we just started dabbling in that space. And really where we're working is kind of some of those disadvantaged youth who may have said, high school's not for me. Maybe they are just realizing at age 24, like, I do actually need to learn what insurance I should buy, or how do you shop the marketplace for health insurance, or my parents are kicking me off because I'm about to turn 26. What do I do? And so really just providing, we don't do a lot of hands-on stuff with that age. It's more of like, here's the curriculum and the moduling and the credentialing that you can get within our realm of expertise. And then we're happy to kind of pair them with a mentor from the business community to kind of say, okay, you just got your first job or your first apprenticeship. Let's look at, here's what you're actually getting paid. How much of that is going to taxes? Taxes are a real thing. And then helping them
due tomorrow.
divide that. Yes. Yeah. Tomorrow is April 15th. And divide that into like, okay, I need to set aside this much. And then helping them, here's how much I have to pay for electricity and water and sewer and all these things that a lot of kids don't even realize. You know, they get their first apartment. It's like everything's included. And then it's like, oh, but I still have to pay water, or I have to pay trash. How do you do that? How do you sign up for that? And so it's more of that like real world skills, helping them just realize like, okay, I need to learn how to actually
I
be an
remember
adult.
learning that hard truth
Yeah.
as you get into your
We
first
don't teach
apartment.
them how to do laundry or anything like that. Like that's on your mom or whatever. But anything outside of that, we can help you with like budgeting and deciding between credit and debit. And I just sat down with a kid about 2 weeks ago, and she was like, I just want to make money. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, same. That's
Right. Don't we all? And she's like, so I think I'm going to forego college for a year and, you know, da 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 da. And I'm like, well, okay, what type of job are you going to get? Because making $18 an hour, 40 hours a week, probably still isn't going to get you at the financial place that you want to be. So if you know you want to get to this line in the sand, what do you have to do to get there? And if getting a degree is where you have to go, then don't take the break. Just take the time, go do it. But then at the same point, if you know you don't need a degree, why go in debt? Why take out student loans? You know, different things like that. So helping kids realize there are opportunities outside of the traditional 4-year college path. Like if that doesn't make sense to you and you don't need that credential, why waste your time? You can have a college experience just by living in Lincoln.
Yep.
Oh,
No, I think this is great advice.
yeah,
It's
like
true.
you don't have
Yeah.
to go in debt.
And at that age, you think it's going to happen like that? Like,
Yes.
You like it's going to be 10 years plus before something big happens.
You know, I remember graduating college. It was many years ago. And when I graduated, my big thing was like, okay, I have to make more money a year than my student loan debt. That was nearly impossible.
Yeah, it's a big ask.
And so I was like, that has to be easy, right? And then I'm like, oh my gosh, like starting salaries are way low back then. And now, I mean, we have opportunities. Like the legislative branch has fought hard to have a higher minimum wage. So kids can do a lot of great things, but they just have to determine like what is their path and have the willingness to stick with it, because we don't just graduate and make 6 figures. That's not, maybe if you go to a trade school, right? So on the other end,
option.
yeah, on the other end, it's like if you want to make 6 figures right out of school, then maybe a trade is for you, because they can almost guarantee you that. So just helping kids realize like there's so many options here. And if money is your core driver and that's what motivates you to get up every day, like pick a trade that you are good at, that you can excel at and grow in. And if not, if you know you want to be a doctor, then I'm going to need you to enroll in school and be okay with student debt.
Yeah.
So
A lot.
yeah.
When you're talking to these young adults, is it usually one-on-one or are they group settings?
So we do a lot of like one-on-one, but we try to do more group settings just so we can talk to kids more in depth. A lot of times you'll see we'll bring kids into like the College of Business or something. So they're exposed to a college campus and kind of all of those different things. But then we'll do like 4 or 5 small groups where they'll meet with like owners of different companies and have the ability to pick their brain on like, what does it take to be in marketing? What does it take to be in the healthcare realm? And so they're able just to kind of sit and go through all of those companies and kind of say, okay, when do you have the opportunity to sit down with like a bunch of different influential people in Lincoln and just kind of have their dedicated attention for 30 minutes and hop from table to table and really start to figure out like, okay, what she said resonated with me, what he said didn't. So we kind of try to get them in bigger groups because I think there's a lot more like energy that goes along with that. And then there's power in numbers as well, where, I might be the shy person and you're not. And so as I'm asking all these questions, you're like, oh, okay, yes, that's either one that was going to be the question I ask, or I'm comfortable now realizing that this is the question I really wanted to walk away with an answer to. So
You're kind of doing the same thing that you did with the elementary school kids too, where a teacher's not telling them
yes,
how to think about marketing. They're hearing it from an actual business
Right,
owner
yes.
with experience.
Yep. 100%. And that's kind of our hope, is that they latch on to these individuals and start to kind of say, okay, I could see myself in that space. So an example, we just did our second annual, we called it Entrepreneur Her. And we had female business owners. So we had Julie Rule with Dry Bar. We had Kelsey Anderson, who is the dean of Bryan College of Health Sciences, Rachel Barth, who's head of marketing for the Lincoln Airport, and we had an individual from Rembolt Ludke that is a partner there in the firm. And so they got to sit down with all of those individuals. And so just helping people to realize like there's all these different places that you can get real world experience, because we get all of this curriculum, but then we go to school. If we choose to go to college, it's like, okay, we're going to take all our gen eds. Then 2 years in, I take a class because I swear I want to be a teacher. And then you put me in a classroom full of kids, and I've never done that before because I didn't really dabble in high school. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Like, I don't want to do that. And so now it's like, okay, I got to change my major. What
Yeah,
does
you're
that look
30
like?
credits deep and
Yeah.
you just are realizing what you want to do.
Exactly. So giving them the opportunity to sit down with these women or men and say, how many times did you change your major? How many, like, what made you decide to go to UNL, or what made you decide to go into trades? So
Interesting.
Henry, did they ever have junior achievement classes in high school for you?
Or
Or not high school, but like grade school?
I would assume so. It sounds familiar. Like I know what the logo looks like. I don't know.
We had a great time because we were supposed to create our own small business
oh yeah,
and then
the
like
company
pitch it to
program.
the class.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine was like making necklaces. I was it's gonna sound dumb and stupid. Chris, you probably won't think so. I was making toys. Like I was taking apart toys and reassembling them.
Oh yeah, I used to do that.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Like
So
The Toy Story.
yeah, just like Sid, yeah.
Yeah.
But Con Creel won. He beat me again. Con O'Shea Creel, if you're listening, I'm coming for you. But he inherited his grandpa's he had a shoe shine kit. So he brought in the shoe shine box, he set it up, the guy puts it on there and shines his shoes. He got the best
Idea.
Best business model.
business model, yeah, thank you.
And that's
Nice
just
try.
affected you ever since.
Every
Shows how the
every day I sit
Second
down
place
here, I'm
mentality.
like,
right there.
if I would have just won that junior achievement,
Your life would
way
be so
way
different.
So how do you guys, is it like a donation thing? Like how do you guys run?
How do we run? Yeah. So we are a nonprofit. So we run a lot off of like corporate partners, and then also individual donors, and then events. So we host a handful of events throughout the year, your typical golf, a gala, and we do a bowl-a-thon as well. So those 3 events really help, as well as grants, do a lot of grant writing. Things like that. We're not federally or state funded. It's all private donations. So that definitely kind of keeps us in front of the business community, which then tenfold gets volunteers in the door as well. So
Okay, let's learn about you. So how'd this happen
how did this happen?
for you? How'd you
Yeah.
become the CEO?
So I originally am from Kansas City on the Kansas Overland Park side. And so I had JA K through 12, and we had an actual facility that was called Exchange City. So in 5th grade, we took a field trip to Exchange City, learned how to write checks, learned how to cash them, learned how to apply for a job, all of these different things. It's like a mock city, and you essentially just try to live in the city and have money in your bank at the end of the day. And you start to realize some real life lessons of like, okay, I probably should buy health insurance because that doctor bill was really high. So you start to like have these real life realizations at a super young age. And that was really powerful for me. And then my parents are great parents, but they didn't really sit down with me and say, okay, this is how you make a budget or this is how you do that. So when I went to college, I was kind of like, oh, like what, I worked knowing what my bills were that month, but I never thought a step ahead. It was just like, okay, I know I have $300 in rent and da 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 da. So I'm going to keep going. And then once I graduated, I was like, I have no money. Like, what am I going to do? And so I was like, okay, moved to Lincoln. And then when the opportunity came up I was the vice president before I was the president and CEO. And so when the opportunity came about, one of the recruiters reached out to me and was like, hey, I think you would love this. It would be great. And so I took it. And then 6 months in, my predecessor was like, hey, I'm going to move on. And I was like, oh no, like I have not been paying attention at all. Like I was just trying to learn my own job. And so once the opportunity came about to apply, I did. And then I haven't looked back or had the ability to, but I absolutely love it. And I think, we have so much room to grow and so many more kids that we can impact. But it's definitely something that gets me up and moving every day. So I love it.
And this is full time.
Full time.
Okay.
How many people do you have, like an office here?
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, I do. So we office out of Bison. So they are extremely gracious, I should say, to allow us to be their tenants. And so we operate there. There are 5 full-time and then 2 interns. I anticipate probably in the next year or so we'll grow by 2 FTE just because we are really trying to get more into that 6 through 12 space and more of that statewide presence so we can start to really see some great outcomes with kids and garner some incredible stories.
I had no idea. But that's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this is a spectacular thing, especially for Lincoln. So you were talking about where you come up with a business idea.
Yeah.
What's like your most unique or favorite one?
Actually, we do a pitch competition. We call it JA Spark. It's a lot like a Shark Tank. And so we host about 400 kids at a time, and they all bring.
That'd be fun to be a judge on.
Oh my God. Yes, we're always looking for judges.
I'm in.
It's so fun. But
It's a no for me.
Yeah.
Chris can be the main one.
Try to buy it for like $1.
Right. It gives you so much hope for the future because you're like, these kids are creative and they do start to understand like what we're missing and what a saturated market looks like. So that's great. One of the best ones, though, I saw, and I don't even know that it's the best idea. I'm sure they're not listening, but they did it so well. They did it so well that they developed an app. And they had already, like, within the 3 hours that they have to kind of put this all together, they had kind of like put together a roundabout piece of the app. And then they went around the room and asked every adult that was in the room, like, hey, can you follow me? Can you follow our Instagram? Can you follow our Instagram? And then throughout the day, they got up to like 60 followers and they started putting content on there. And so I was just like, okay, you guys have this right. And what it was essentially like an app that kind of shows you how to remodel your space. So like if you took a picture of this room, it would be like, okay, this table should be moved this way. Like your water station should be tucked, like so different things. And they took it so seriously and were like working the crowd without anybody in the crowd knowing it. I literally, when he came up to me and was like, hey, can you pull up your Instagram and follow this account? I was like, this is just some sweet little kid.
Yeah, how old is he?
He's 17, I think. So
I'm going.
I am like, that takes a lot of courage to work a room of 400 people, identify the people that will pull up their Instagram and follow, and then to have that content trickling in before they pitched. So then they could say, hey, I came up with this idea 2 hours ago and I already have this many followers and this much content.
Gosh.
So, it just helps you to realize like, hey, if we believe in these kids and we pour into them, they have great ideas and they will go places, and hopefully they stay here and contribute to Lincoln.
So the Shark Tank type thing, is there a winner?
Yeah.
Huh? What's the winner get?
Only a trophy. We
Trophy's
are.
a trophy.
I know.
$1 million to their
Right.
company.
That's what I didn't know. It's like
Yeah.
you get some money to
Where do
actually
I
do
apply?
it. Or,
Yeah.
how'd that work?
So we are working on that. Like, I would love to have, we don't have an issue with getting kids there, but I have always said to my staff, like, I bet we could get over 500 kids if we offered like a cash prize or something like that. So I need to find a donor that wants to do that.
That's a lot of kids, though.
Yeah, Chris will do it.
I was like, wait, what? Where do you have this at?
We hosted the College of Business in Hawks Hall.
Okay.
The big one.
Do you want to plug like your golf tournament or anything that's coming up?
So our actual like biggest event of the year is coming up. It's our biggest student event. It's on Wednesday actually at Pinnacle Bank Arena, and that's our stock market challenge. So we invite high school kids from across the state of Nebraska to come and compete in the JA Stock Market Challenge. And essentially what they do is the kids get curriculum to kind of help them realize how to make smart trades, how the market operates, the ethics in business and things like that. And then they all come in and we turn Pinnacle Bank Arena floor into like a mock New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
There's about 600 kids that come and they're in teams of 4, and they have 60 minutes to make trades. Each minute is a day on the stock market. And then there's certain alerts, like news alerts that come out that says like, this person was caught embezzling. And so they, different things. So they have to realize how the market fluctuates based on like ethical decisions, and just realizing like, okay, these are the things that take place and how that impacts the market day to day.
I remember doing that in high school. I don't know if it was junior achievement, but we did do like a stock market simulation.
Yeah.
It was fun. Did not win.
And that one
Now
actually.
you're here.
No. I don't have a vendetta like Joe does. I don't have an origin story.
I'm gonna
but-
shine so many shoes.
Again, if you would have won, your life would be completely different.
Oh, yeah.
And those kids actually do walk away with a prize. They walk away with a scholarship to the UNL College of Business. So the top 8 students, so the top 2 teams, and then the top 3 teams qualify to participate in our national JA Stock Market Challenge that's hosted in Atlanta. And so that one, every JA area, there's 99 of us, we get to put forth 3 different teams to go compete.
Oh, wow.
All expenses paid to go to Atlanta and spend 4 days there competing in the national championship with kids from across the nation. So that one's super fun. And then, yes, our golf tournament is at Hidden Valley on June 13th. And that one we've been hosting for like 20 years, but it's just a fun time to get together. It's not like you don't win $1 million if you are the finishing team, but you're just there to have fun, learn more about the mission, connect with the people that partner with us and sponsor us. So it's a super fun day.
Got it.
Well, Toni, this is the Brand Lincoln podcast. So we do like to ask our guests what they like to do, fun, exciting things around town when you're not helping all these kids.
Yeah. Gosh, my favorite thing to do is, can it be about eating?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would probably be over half of the things that
Most people,
My favorite, I have 2, but my favorite places to go are the venue. Monday is all day happy hour there in the lounge. I love the venue. And then also I love going to Piedmont as well. So every Sunday I love to go there for brunch and take my kids.
I've always heard about that. There's a bunch of good brunch places in Lincoln, and I have never been to any of them.
I have heard good things about Early Bird too, though.
Oh, Early Bird is delicious.
I have not been to
Their cinnamon roll pancakes. I'm just saying.
I've heard it's so good. Yeah,
I could do that for dinner, but they're not open for dinner.
I know.
But I'm just saying.
So, yeah.
But no, I'll have to try the.
All food places I love those places. So
Got it.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
No, thank you for having me.
Oh, where can we find like all your stuff? Is it just Junior Achievement Lincoln? Tell us.
Yeah, so if you just Google it, you can just put Junior Achievement of Lincoln or lincoln.ja.org. We'll get you to our website. Right there, it has all of our volunteer opportunities. You can even filter it to the part of town where you want to be, so we can easily find a neighborhood school or something that's close to your work. And then all of our student events and then our fundraising events are also posted there as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Make sure you don't go on the Midlands one.
Yes.
Obviously, we don't
Sorry,
want.
John.
Yeah. Sorry about that. All right. Well, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.